We're going to get an aerial view here of the AmTrak Washington train crash, or wreck, whichever way you want to refer to it as. And I want to point out that here, this is the front of the cars, and so you can see they're all come up behind him and just really just mangled into him. They all lost control and came through him, and he was able to stop at this point. And you can see they're all run up into him. The other mother car is over here, actually down on the off the overpass. And if you'll look at the turn they were about to face, it is a very sharp turn. Now the telemetry says they were going 81 miles an hour. This turn back here, right here, that it would have done, you see how they go down this track here and then it comes up. This track right here, turn that I'm on right now, the suggested number is 79, not 81, which 2 degrees shouldn't be within a close boundary at all. If it was 81 may flip it, then it would have been 60, 55. You don't put things like this under a 1 mile an hour bend possibility, or hey, if somebody leaned right at the right time, this is not the way that it would go. So it seems strange. But another thing that's strange here is this turn here is not arcing in any way. This turn here is a slap turn. It really comes around this corner quite sharply. It is straight from the point I am right now, and it is straight from the point I am right now here. And in between there, we're taking about a 30-something degree turn at 80 miles an hour in a rapid point. It's not a slow progression. There's no progression to it. You can see this, even for human traffic, driving along at 60 is a slow progression turning up through here, whereas the differential from this coming from almost the same angle, and its contrasting turn cutting across, and then its secondary contrasting turn cutting through here. Really doesn't look well. But let's look at this footage here. It's really just chopper footage, and showing you a little bit of the overhead of exactly where it happens and through this area here. And you can tell it looks like they lost it back here before and came through the last track and came through here. You can see how they're shoved up onto each other, and this has apparently been drug across here when it was out of bounds and just drug along with it. This on, this off. This made it on the other side of the guardrail here before the guardrail, but yet still became drug along. And you can see cars that are collapsed over here on the sides, and how it had landed on top of a tractor trailer across the front of it, although it doesn't look like the man perhaps was killed. At this point there is 77 injuries and 6 deaths associated with this, which is a godsend looking at it from this angle. But then again, the godsend could have been the angle of the track back there looking better at before this point, or something like this wouldn't have happened. These slap angles that they have really aren't working out well. You can see he is still well geared on the track. Well geared on the track. These orange marks here delineate that they've already cleared that car double time. And so they are cleared of people. You can see this car had the front end of it just sheared completely off. It's believed that there was a fatality associated with this. But right here, it's pulled across the bridge. You can see debris all the way back into the forest here. And here is the other AmTrak major coach carrier car, spun around the other way with its tonnage. They're now trying to dig through here and get this loose so they can get cranes into this area and start to remove and pull these out, which they're probably going to put them back onto trains, or they're going to put them onto diesels that are mounted out through this area, probably being coordinated from over here. But I'm not sure some of these cars can really be carried on a diesel. They may have to be placed onto a train on another flatbed and then carried in. Here's someone's first view of it this morning. There's a few expletives here, but they're all bleeped out. But this is right whenever they were pulling all the people out. Strangely, I haven't seen any footage where it really seems like they're pulling anybody out that you see, or that there's people that would have been on this train, a full train, even walking at this point. You know, that it would even have showing people moving through the area. So I find that somewhat strange. But they must have been cleared out long before. But I'm sure they have AmTrak footage of all this, and they probably have actual footage of the derailment itself from the cameras that are mounted right there upon the bridge for traffic purposes. So we should be able to see this coming in shortly. But again, the fatality level's up to 6, and hopefully it doesn't rise any at all, if much higher, from the people that are injured out of the 77 that are now going to hospitals. They showed they're going to hospitals, and whenever they show one of the hospitals that's ready for it, strangely it seems to be vacant, and that there's nobody there. There are people waiting for it, but there's no one actually there. And so we'll keep up with this a little bit better, but here's where they have the hospital ready. It's fully set up, ready and running and ready to go, and you'd think that all the ambulances, if there were some that are bringing injuries here, that this place would be pretty much hopping and going, but it doesn't really look like it's hopping and going. I mean, there could be a lot of internal activity, and I find it hard to believe that there's one security guard standing over here at the right that was barely visible a minute ago, and the only source of entrance here is a sign put here that actually has the word no on it, taped over with some duct tape. So this should be the place where everybody's going to, but it doesn't seem very active, and it doesn't seem like it has a lot of correlation to the wreck that's really right there by them, and this would be one, if not the major hospital that would be involved. And again, it doesn't look like there's much involvement. So we'll keep up with this. I'll enjoy.